Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. The purpose of this kickoff is to officially launch the Project SIMS, the Smart Energy Management System. Our goal here is to be ambitious, to deliver a cutting-edge solution that not only optimizes energy consumption for our commercial clients, but also sets a benchmark for sustainable building operations globally. This system isn't just about saving money, it's about making a tangible impact on our clients' targets and creating healthier, more efficient spaces for people.
Building on David's points, the system integrates various data streams such as HVAC, lighting, security, and even occupation sensors into an AI-driven platform. We're talking complex algorithms that will unify the information and will learn and adapt in real time from it. For our non-technical stakeholders, it's like having a highly intelligent, invisible energy manager, constantly optimizing every watt and lumen without anybody needing to lift a finger.
Okay, so essentially it's like a backend system for data aggregation, basically, with just some predictive analytics, maybe using Python for the algorithms. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like pretty standard coding stuff.
Arjun, that's a good starting point, but let's just remember our primary audience for the briefing, the client. The client isn't necessarily focused on the underlying code or language. They're focused on the so what and the value. So when we describe it, we need to adapt our approach. Lisa, perhaps you can walk us through the high-level benefits for a user perspective on our client presentation next week.
Absolutely. For the client, we'll focus on the key performance indicators such as the revenue, the energy savings, the reduced carbon footprint, as well as enhanced occupation comfort. We'll use visuals to make these concepts a little bit less abstract, sorry. Perhaps we can implement a diagram or an animation that will show a before and after of the impact on a typical building. That should resonate better than just an architectural diagram.
Excellent, Lisa. Could you take the lead on the client-facing presentation content? Arjun, for the technical deep dive next week with the engineering team, you can certainly go into the specifics of the back-end architecture and your initial thoughts on the Python framework. Just be prepared to explain the why behind the design choices, not just the what. All right, team, we've had our kickoff. Now the vision is clear. Now it's time about concrete steps. We need to detail a plan for the next 3 sprints. Lisa, let's start with the key milestones. We need the core data integration module and initial UI frameworks done by the end of next month. What support do you need to hit these deadlines, Lisa?
Thank you, David. I'll ask Sarah's team to handle the UI integration as I need support with that, and I will need Arjun to solely focus on the API connectors for the HVAC systems. You have experience in that area and I assume you can handle it. I'm assigning you full ownership of the tasks and you'll need to set out clear expectations for their outcomes as this is a critical path and we need to get it done ASAP.
Okay, so just HVAC APIs, got it. I'll just start coding them based on the spec. Shouldn't take too long, pretty straightforward, maybe a week.
Hold on, Arjun. Assuming everything's straightforward is a red flag for me. What are the potential roadblocks? Have you identified all the necessary dependencies, especially the client's legacy system? We need to ensure that these tasks are fully tested and stable before marking these as complete.
You need to understand, Arjun. Have you considered that the existing protocols might have rate limits or that there might be different authentication pathways? We need a clear plan of attack before we just start coding. If we run into issues, it will directly impact the UI team. Let's work together on this as you clearly need more support.
Right. Okay, so authentication. I didn't think about that. I just assumed it would be standard REST. Maybe I should talk to the IT team directly then, but that wasn't in the initial ticket.
Arjun, proactively identifying those constraints and resources impacts the other team's task delivery. That's part of your role now. This just isn't about your task. We need to ensure the entire system is on target. Lisa, can you help Arjun map out those dependencies more clearly?
Of course, Arjun. We'll take a look at the integration points more closely. We are still learning, so it's okay. We'll provide more support. We need to work as a team together on this, and just remember, everybody's opinion matters, especially when we're looking out for potential flaws. Hello, Arjun. How are those HVAC integrations coming along? The UI team needs them done until by the end of the day and stable so that they can move on to the next task.
Yeah, about that, it's not working.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see here. It's just bad. Nothing's working. The data coming from the legacy system, it's completely unformatted. I've been trying to pass through it. The JSON, it's not what we're expecting. And yeah, I just really don't see how we can integrate this into the larger system. I thought it would just work like a standard API.
Arjun, I can see you're having some difficulty. Let's discuss what support might help rather than dwelling on the delay. Have you talked to their legacy systems expert or asked one of our older projects team if they've encountered similar issues?
No, I just kind of kept trying to pass through different libraries. I figured that if I kept all of the data, then some of it would work eventually. I kind of think that things just kind of work like this, so I kind of just relied on my kind of initial interpretation.
Arjun, when defining a problem, we need to gather multiple sources of information, and when evaluating solutions, you can't just aim for theoretical perfection. We need to work on what's necessary for commercial viability, even if it's not the best product possible. Have you put together some team input and decided on a path forward that accurately represents everybody's needs?
Well, I've just kind of been refining my parsing script. It could still be better, honestly. I just really don't see why we need to consider the error margins when our data is just so bad.
Arjun, we need to adjust our decisions proactively upon receiving new or contradictory information. This just isn't about technical correctness, it's about making progress. We need a solution that's good enough to integrate now. Have you updated the JIRA ticket with the major blocker? We need to declare risks to management or product owners early.
I'll update the ticket later. The details are all in my head. It wasn't really planned, but yeah, I'll get it done now.
Arjun, by holding on to key knowledge, you are creating a bottleneck. We need to disseminate this knowledge so that we don't create dependencies, and we owe transparencies to our stakeholders above all else. Do you want to walk me through the raw data so that we can work on a solution together and figure out the parsing logic?
Yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Okay.
All right, team. Wrapping up on Project SEMS. Overall, a successful deployment thanks to everyone's hard work. Today we're focusing on lessons learned and refining processes for future projects. Lisa, could you start with a high-level overview of key achievements and challenges?
Absolutely. As you can see on the slides, we successfully deployed SEMS on time. We have a 15% energy savings on our project pilot building, and our key achievement was our team's adaptability to the data format challenge. One of the biggest learning points was the importance of early stakeholder engagement on the data specifications, but we then also incorporated user feedback into the UI, which made it a lot more intuitive.
Arjun, from your perspective on the data integration, what would be your key takeaways from the unexpected hurdle? Any insights for the next phase?
Yeah, the parsing bit was a bit tricky. I mean, it was just one small change, but it ended up having quite a big consequence on the other parts of the system. And I really didn't think about that when I was going through it. And I really think we need to deliver this quickly, but also it has to still be perfect, regardless of what that might cost.
Archie, that is an interesting point, and I understand your concern about quality. However, we're all aware of the challenges and conflicts with the requirements sometimes. With the parsing fiasco, obviously we have to compromise on achieving our goals and data purity versus meeting the deadline. These trade-offs are important for delivering a finished product. We just need to manage stakeholder expectations based on the technical constraints.
Exactly. And Arjun, for future projects, we need to ensure transparency and clarity about potential consequences of decisions to all stakeholders involved early on. What will happen if someone leaves suddenly and the documentation isn't there? We need clear and thorough documentation to ensure continuity. The best engineers always produce thorough documentation.
Yeah, documentation, it takes too much time. I'd rather just focus on doing the task than kind of logging it down. And if we're the only ones who are kind of working with this, so if anyone else needs to come in, I can just explain it to them.
Arjun, you have once again created a knowledge bottleneck. We talked about this. When you don't document your data and you keep it all in your head, it doesn't work. It creates dependencies. We need to act reliably and responsibly, which means recognizing the wider context in which your work occurs. This outlook will help you massively see the potential consequences and influences of your tasks on others and, well, the wider context.
And when it comes to understanding the context of our engineering projects, Arjun, it's not just about the technical problem. We need to evaluate our activities' influence socially, ethics, and sustainability. Did we inquire about the benefits of who might be negatively affected by the system's social or environmental aspects?
Well, look, I just focus on making it perfect from a technical standpoint. I didn't really think about all those other factors and effects that you mentioned because that's not really my area of expertise. We've never really had issues before, so I really don't think we'd have issues now.
We need to be reliable and responsible engineers. That is our responsibility at this firm. And while this might technically sound difficult, but we really need to consider stakeholder buy-in as well as organizational priorities. And this really does mean proactively identifying any potential ethical or societal implications. And we need to raise questions about any hypothetical negative impacts or unintended consequences. I mean, you do understand what the context is here, right?
This project, like all others, has ethical implications. We must practice engineering with integrity, accountability, and adherence to professional standards. If we overlook the perspectives of certain groups or fail to establish relevance to the audience needs, we're not truly serving the public good.
Okay, I understand. I just kind of assumed that they'd already know all these technical bits, so I didn't really see the need to kind of go through and explain them.